If you haven't served yourself, please, there's still plenty of food over there, but we want to go ahead and get started and be respectful of your time. And we're very fortunate indeed to be in a city that I think what we have 4 out of 5 city council members are Republican. And so to welcome us officially to the city of Whittier is the Mayor Pro Tem, Octavio Martinez. Woo!
Well, thank you for your kind applause. And I realize that you're applauding, hoping that it'll be a powerful thing I'm going to say. In fact, it's the applause of hope. I wish to welcome all of you to the great city of Whittier, here, what we call God's country. For those of you looking for a place to be educated, to be entertained, to spend your money, please come to the city of Whittier. I'd like to remind all of us, and maybe encourage all of us, that in spite of a lot of the conversations and the intensity and the passion of our friends who perhaps disagree with our way of thinking, the Conservative Party, the Republican Party, we have a great story to tell. We have a rich tradition, a beautiful history, and all that it requires is for us to live out our story. Let me encourage all of you to continue to be involved in your communities, your churches, your schools, your nonprofit organizations, and let people know by the way that you live your life in a winsome, attractive manner, that we are proudly, unabashedly, unashamedly Republican.
Yeah, we're also joined by City Council member from Temple City, and that is Ed. And our school board member from the Cerritos area. Hello there, my good friend Sue Hughes. So, being a public service is quite a challenge. And depending on the office, the individuals that you have to deal with, many times, most of the time, you're arriving in a situation that's volatile, where people would much rather not see you, or because of them being a victim, they're happy to see you, but not under those circumstances. And having to deal with the public, but also having to deal with bureaucrats. Bureaucrats that have ulterior motives or ulterior agendas other than the public welfare is quite a feat. And so we are very fortunate indeed to have with us this afternoon former Sheriff Alex Villanueva. Alex?
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate the opportunity to speak among my fellow Republicans. I got a microphone in the crowd. This is dangerous. Because I'm going to tell you stuff that you haven't heard before, or you haven't quite seen in the same light. But I'm going to give you some information, a little bit about my experience. I'm sure you're familiar with most of it, where I spent 4 years dodging rocks being thrown at me in kitchen sinks and everything the board could drum up. But during those 4 years, the sheriff's department went through a serious transformation. We shifted from the enforcement model to the engagement model. We got the department fully staffed up to 10,000. Remember, you hear all the complaints about LAPD and the current sheriff, Bunker Bob, I think we call him. No, we can't attract people. No one wants a job. No. People still want to be law enforcement. Our younger generation still want to serve, but they don't want to serve under untrustworthy leaders. That is the obstacle. But they can't say that because that points the finger at themselves. That's why when I was in office, my first year, 2019, we hired 1,100 deputies in 1 year. The line wrapped around the building every time we had the written exam opened up. And by the time the Board of Supervisors, in their infinite wisdom, shut down my hiring in April of 2020, in the run-up to the Summer of Love, we had a huge pipeline of candidates and the best, most qualified candidates, and they were all local. And they shut the whole thing down while they were sitting on a $2 billion budget surplus. Why did they do that? Because they could not stand, one, law enforcement, public safety. They wanted to get rid of the sheriff's department, which they still do. They want to get rid of probation department, which they're almost completely done with. And that is literally their goal. And what do they want to replace law enforcement with? You got to follow the language here. They want to replace traditional boots on the ground law enforcement with what they call an ecosystem of public safety. Yes, that is the new language. They realized that defunding the police was a really bad idea and they got beat up. So they changed the language. Then they went from defunding to let's reinvest. But what they're not telling you is you reinvested the money we're taking away from law enforcement. No, those are buried in the details. You're not supposed to know that. We're going to reinvest in our communities. We're going to get away from systems of punishment. Let's close the jails without a replacement. Let's close the prisons. Gruesome Newsom's favorite trick. How many prisons can we close and brag about it? And then wonder why crime is skyrocketing. Yeah, there's nowhere left to put the crooks. Straightforward, right? But they realized that the reinvestment didn't have a lot of traction. So they moved to this ecosystem. It's the new language. Started around last year, 2024. You know who started it? Metropolitan Transit Authority. They brag about their ecosystem of public safety, that they have law enforcement, and they actually had a pyramid and they flipped it upside down. And now law enforcement is at the tiny tip of the bottom of the pyramid. And then they have contract private security. Then they have ambassadors. And then after the ambassadors, the newest version, which came out last month, they're hiring former, in quotes, gang members that are working for consultants who are going to make people feel more comfortable on the trains and the buses. Yes, that is your new ecosystem of public safety, courtesy of the Metropolitan Transit Authority. And who runs the MTA? The LA County Board of Supervisors, Karen Bass, I think 2 or 3 other city council people, and about 4 at large from other, small city agencies. That is the new language of the LA County Democratic Party. Pretty much. But the thing is, they don't care if you die or not. The only thing they care about is it's not covered in the LA Times. That is their fear. As long as they can keep it out of the 6 o'clock news, it's okay. Did you ever hear about, you remember the movie Weekend at Bernie's? Well, apparently there was an MTA passenger who was Weekend at Bernie's for real on the goal line. Spent 6 hours dead riding the goal line. So they finally found him. I don't know if it was the maggots or what the deal was. They realized, hey, he's not going to get off the turnstile. And then did you ever hear this other one? The poor guy, same goal line for some reason, set on fire twice. Twice. Set on fire. By who? Homeless person. Yes. The ones that are allowed to stay on the transit system. Why are they allowed down there? Well, they believe they have, the MTA board believes they have the right to be there. So they have this massive outreach for the homeless, all these things. And I thought, wait a minute, I just thought the whole point of the transit system was to get people from point A to point B, not to live on the train. Have you ever seen a bathroom on a train or bus? Okay, do the math. When you have 5,700 people living on the trains and the platform, living. There's one case, there's a video, the guy strung up a hammock on the train. Yes, It is that bad. But then you go back to 2017, when the sheriff's department had the entire contract, the trains ran clean, on time, with no homeless, and no fuss. But that wasn't part of the Democratic progressive agenda. Because they had to find a group that they can champion and claim they're the oppressed, and mean, bad law enforcement are the oppressors. We have to minimize them as much as possible. And let's shift the money over to this nonprofit who happens to be run by my wife, her husband, and her cousins. Magically. So now, when there was a federal lawsuit from the LA Lions, and they discovered there's $2.3 billion they can't account for. Billion. That's 9 zeros, right? I know there's some engineers here, right? Did I get that right? And what's the reaction from all these elected officials who are responsible for this? Nothing. They were supposed to subpoena Mayor Bass to be grilled on the stand. No, they fought tooth and nail to make sure she didn't have to be subpoenaed, or the Board of Supervisors. They didn't want that. Why? Because if you put them on the stand under oath with someone who knows what they're doing, people will realize, holy shit, we have the absolute worst people possible driving the bus, and we're stuck on it. That's a grim reality. And when I challenged the Board of Supervisors, oh my God, that same army, you know, they had 300 attorneys full-time in LA County? Full-time. And they've hired on contract almost half of all of the law firms in LA County. On contract. So you have to understand the size of this machine that's out there. And they exist for one purpose, to perpetuate and maintain absolute control over both county government and city government. And the state is not too far behind. The only saving grace from the state side is that once you get out of the sphere of LA and San Francisco, that loses influence, because now you're into the rural districts, the desert districts, and all that stuff in the far corners, and all of a sudden, we don't care what LA and San Francisco thinks, right? That's the only saving grace from the state. But I'm going to give you 3 numbers that's going to really upset you. The magic year is 2011. This is when Jerry Brown was in office. The budget for the city of LA, the county of LA, and the state of LA, I'm going to compare 2011 to 2025. For the city of LA, they almost doubled, actually they more than doubled. Now they're at 15 billion. They were somewhere in the neighborhood of, I think, 6 point something billion, 11. County of LA went from 22 billion to 47 billion, more than double. The state of LA went from 86 billion to 310 billion. Did you get a double or a tripling of goods services you actually value? No. What you got is a bigger bureaucracy that their sole purpose is to perpetuate themselves, not to serve you, the taxpayer, the voter. That is the last thing on their agenda. And think about that. That huge growth. Look at LA County alone, the one I'm most familiar with. In the year 2000, they had 82,000 employees. Fast forward to 2025, they have 117,000. They increased 35,000 employees, full paid county employees with pensions and all the bells and whistles that go with it. That's more than the size of most of the cities in LA County. And they're all public employees. At the same time, the number of deputies working in LA went the other direction. They shrunk. It's below 8,000. Remember I had it built it up to 10,000? Now it's below 8,000. So you're paying more and getting less. So what do these people, they run for office or run these things, what is their whole game, how is it that they convince people to vote against their self-interest? That is a clue right there. And for all of you aspiring candidates for office, be it local, state, whatever it is, pay attention to this. You unravel that mystery in your own language, with your own experience, whatever your profession is, figure out and understand these people who've been voting blindly because of a color, a blue versus a red. And you ask them why you do it, and typically the response is, orange man bad. I don't care what you think about him, but he is not the one that's screwing over the city of LA, the county of LA, and the state of California. That's all done locally. Homegrown idiots in public office who have no ambition other than to remain in public office and possibly grab the next rung up on the ladder. That's their whole goal. You look at Mr. Gavin Newsom, hair gel and all. You can, in fact, if you Google my name in LA Times, look at every photo of me, and I'm either looking down like this or I'm looking sideways like that. Always some menacing pose. But look at pictures of Gavin Newsom. He's got the wind blowing in the hair, looking like that, you know, looking very majestic and imperial. Remember, the human mind, 80% of your information is through your eyes, not your ears, it's your eyes. So what is the implicit message that the LA Times devoted 4 years when he was in office and I was in office? He's bad, he's great, focus on him. I'll tell you a story about Newsom. He claimed once, this is about 4 years ago now, that he said publicly, I would invite all the homeless to enjoy the California experience. Remember that? I text him. Well, actually, I got a text from him because I called him out on that publicly. I did a press conference and we can't afford that. No, people need to stay where they are. This is the worst thing you could do as governor is invite the homeless from the nation to California. And he texted me, that is so wrong. I never did that. So of course I found the clip and I texted him the clip back. He never replied. So you got to understand the beast, which are these career politicians. One, they're slimy. That we know. And they're every decision they make is based on how does this serve me, not you. You're not part of the equation. You know, it's a big club and you're not in it. Their club, very powerful. It's all about how does this advance my interest. If they make a decision that could be scary, they'll put together a focus group. And they'll get consultants that you're going to pay for to decide how to message it, to massage it, to make it digestible for the masses. Now you see how people unwittingly go to the polls and, vote blue no matter who. Our challenge is to break that up. And there's nothing better than a picture worth 1,000 words. Okay? When San Francisco had a map of what they call the direct deposits, that the transient community, very generously left on all the sidewalks everywhere, they have an app on the phone. That was worth 1,000 words. They got rid of the DA. They recalled 3 members of the Board of Education, I think, all in one election. A place is most notorious for being to the left of LA, as if that's possible. San Francisco. No. They finally saw the light and they moved. It's time for here in LA to people to see the light. And it's your job as candidates for office, whatever their office it is to convince people they need to go. Let's put people with some common sense, that have some experience and have something to offer this public office, but they're not here to do it as a career. There's nothing worse than a career politician. Absolutely nothing. Because by the time they get past their second election, 4-year cycle, that's 8 years, it's all for themselves, folks. If you can't affect change in 8 years, right? Let the next generation take over. They'll figure out to clean up your mess that you left behind. And the mess that's been left here in California, LA County, LA City is huge. There's no other way to explain it. We're so far in the hole. We lead the nation in so many of the worst categories possible. I mean, you think about energy costs, you think about taxation, you think about hostile business regulation that's chasing away investment dollars. You're thinking about crime, you're thinking about homelessness, all these things in the energy production. We're less than 5% of the global population. We're not going to fix man-made global warming, whatever you want to call it, or climate change, by taxing ourselves to death while the other 95+% of the population does something entirely different. If China is opening up one coal-fired power plant a week in China, do you think here, banning gas stoves is going to fix the situation over here? No, it's not. So this is where common sense comes in. If there's things that need to be resolved globally, well, we need to have our national leaders working internationally with all the worst polluters. Okay, let's figure out how let's get this straight, for the benefit of everybody. But we have to do that collectively. This flagellation here in California so we can virtue signal is obnoxious, unproductive, and actually makes matters worse, not better. Now, just a little bit of what I accomplished in the 4 years. I like to say it only because you never hear it from, news sources. You wouldn't know this. I inherited a budget deficit of $101 million. When I left office, I turned it into $74 million surplus. Huge swing, right? I solved the whole recruitment retention crisis. I got rid of the good old boy network and created a system that was based on one, equal opportunity, merit. Imagine that. Yeah. In the process, I made sure it was inclusive so everyone could participate. The true nature of inclusiveness. When I was a lieutenant, I tried 3 times under the previous sheriff to interview for a job as a captain. And 3 times they told me to pound sand. Why? It wasn't because I lacked qualifications, it's I wasn't in the car. So that was my motivation to say, well, you know what? There's one job you can block me from. Mr. McDonald, that was your job. And, good Lord upstairs was looking for me. My lovely wife over there, Vivian, was supporting me. And we made history. But we did so much in 4 years. Ever heard of Operation Homebound? That's by design. You've never heard of Operation Homebound. When the COVID vaccination finally became available, we discovered that the people living in the riverbanks, under the bridges, in the wilderness, all the homeless population would never, ever see it. We saw to it that they would get the vaccine. We had paramedics, licensed paramedics from our emergency services detail. I actually got something positive out of Newsom, and I got to give credit where it's due. We had about 200 EMTs that were not deputies. They got it back. They could administer the vaccine, but state law didn't allow it. We wrote to the governor and said, hey, you know what? We got an emergency here. Let's change it. Give the EMTs the ability to administer vaccines. And he gave it a thumbs up. Now we have over 200 people that can administer vaccines. And then we found out all over the county, senior centers, places where people were couldn't leave their home, hence the term homebound. These were the people that were physically disabled, mentally disabled, the people that are severely, think of whatever it is that keeps them locked up at home and the family can't move them out to go to one of these fancy, drive-through vaccine clinics like at Dodger Stadium. It wasn't going to happen. It had nothing to do with wealth either. Of course, it definitely improved the lives of the poorest, but there was also very wealthy people who were in the same boat. They couldn't get their hands on the vaccine. They had no way of moving their loved one from their mansion, whatever. And we went to them. it worked. We had people that were in tears crying, thanking us because our deputies, our paramedics were administering vaccines where it was deemed impossible. Then we realized the distribution of vaccines, the death by the vaccine or the COVID. We said, why are they targeting the areas where people are not dying? Why aren't they distributing the vaccine where most people are dying? It kind of makes sense, right? So we opened up a vaccine clinic in East LA, zip code 90022. They had the highest rate of infection and deaths. Why? Because the young generation, were working to death, and they're coming home to crowded apartment complexes, and abuelita and abuelita were the ones getting it. They're the ones dying. So we went there. I kid you not, 2 days later, the governor announced, hey, we're distributing vaccines by zip code. Oh, gee, wow, you figured that one out now? But positive things. You ever heard of the wage theft task force? Never heard of it, right? That's by design. Turns out in LA County, $26 million a week is stolen from employees. Also, as you can figure out, the bottom end of the wage scale. And also union members, project labor agreements that are violated. 26 million a week, 1.5 billion a year. So we put together a task force. We identified what's the problem. We realized that a lot of these people were challenging having their wages stolen. They go to the state, there's a labor relations board, and there's another, the labor commission. They do an investigation, they rule against the employer, but they never get their money back because there's no way to enforce it. I said, wait a minute. We got a bunch of detectives that are real smart. We have a bunch of deputies in patrol that can actually, write the initial report, identify what happened. And then we have a DA, deputy district attorney, who was dedicated to the wage theft task force. We had from the labor commission dedicated the task force. And we had our civil management bureau. They could actually garnish wages. They could actually install themselves at the teller of a business and collect the money right there under the nose of the employer and give it to the people whose wages were stolen. So we had the teeth that they lacked. We put this all together. And what was the reaction from the LA Times? We're not going to tell the public. No, not at all. See, that's how the game was played. And then my wife's giving me signs up there. I mean, there's so many details. We did so many things that worked. When the Summer of Love came along, did LA County burn to the ground? But you saw the images in Seattle, right? In Portland and all these places. Not on my watch. No, we kept everyone safe. And no one died. My experience in 1992 as a young deputy patrol, 58 people died, billions of dollars of businesses burned to the ground. There's areas today in Lenox area in South LA, the lots are still vacant. They used to be minority-owned businesses. But the 2020 riots were, hey, let's go burn down where the rich folks live. So they went to Beverly Hills. They got repelled. They went to Fairfax. They got repelled. Now this is Antifa joining, not the Black Lives Matter protesters that were protesting lawfully in daytime, doing which is what we want. And we protected every single one for the right to be able to their protest. But the idiots that showed up wearing NFL tackle football gear in shields at midnight, they were there protesting. I think, what were we kidding? So we had a lot of fun with them. Oh yeah, we did. And we helped out Beverly Hills. Rodeo Drive stayed intact. They wanted to sack the Citadel, one of the major destinations in the entire world for shopping. If you walk through the Citadel, you can just count the languages, and you realize, wow, this is like, yeah. They were trying to burn that one down. 50 plus people went to jail there. Long Beach. Well, the current sheriff was hiding in a bunker in Long Beach. He was the chief of police at the time, burning down Long Beach, the tourist area. So we showed up with a sheriff's response team, our mobile field force. We helped the Long Beach officers that were there, and we stopped the looting. In fact, my team alone with myself, we got 4 looters. They were scared, like, oh my God, we're gonna kill the sheriff. He shouldn't be doing this. Of course, I'm gimping along in an alley chasing one looter, but the point had to be made that we are going to enforce the rule of law. We're not going to tolerate lawlessness in any way, shape, or form. That was a lesson I learned from 1992. Because what was the initial problem with 92? Let's not do anything because, oh, you know. And what happened? The worst thing possible happened. So you would think people would learn it in 2025, the lessons from 92 and 2020. Oh no, let's not do anything. So now you got people rioting, trying to assault ICE agents while they're doing their job. They're so unaccustomed to having our laws enforced that they take umbrage over us enforcing immigration law. Do we want local law enforcement to do it? No, that's federal immigration enforcement. However, if they come under attack, it is a responsibility of local law enforcement to rescue them. I'm not there right now, but I'll be darned if I would see that play out while I'm sitting, with 5 stars on my collar. That doesn't happen. No, didn't happen in 2020, and it's a shame that it's happening today. And all of that points to, and just why Santa Monica, half of the prominent went up in smoke. Why? Because the chief of police and the Santa Monica City Council were very woke and decided we didn't want to offend the people who are destroying our city. So what happens when you allow people to destroy the city immediately like that, or through unchecked homelessness? Your revenue drops, your businesses fail, your cities, your suburbs, your business districts, your tourist destinations, all that gets consumed by the homeless. The tourists who are bringing the money to your city and county stop coming, and you see the revenue start to tank. This is like common sense 101 stuff. So when I went to the Venice Boardwalk and we started cleaning up, what was the reaction of the city council? Mike Bonin in particular, he doesn't belong there. And what did Sheila Kuehl say? He doesn't know his jurisdiction. He thinks sauntering onto the boardwalk with a cowboy hat is going to make a difference. Well, it actually did. It did. Even if we had to shame local city council people that are doing their job, we went to Olvera Street. We did the same thing, but that the councilman actually helped us. So we had the city, the county working together. The whole Plaza Olvera was cleared up of homeless. And the most beautiful sight, we returned after the cleanup. All the buses came because Olvera Street is a big destination for grade school kids on their field trips. We came there, the whole plaza was lined up with yellow buses. You could hear the noise of the little kids running around. It was a wonderful thing. It proves we can solve the homeless crisis. It's not a mystery. What you do is stop doing the things that are bringing everybody here in the first place. Demand personal responsibility. Don't demand that the taxpayer has to support your lifestyle while you're on a meth pipe 24/7. I'm sorry, that's not part of the equation. And trust me, they will not starve to death. They will find a way, but they're not going to go through that discovery process while you keep artificially enabling dependency and normalizing deviancy. The twin sins of city, county, and state of LA. So all of you who are going to run for office, I encourage you, keep those twin sins in mind, do the right thing, get on a ballot, and everyone else who is not running for office, help everyone you can support, raise the money, knock on doors, turn those voters who were, let's say, decidedly uninformed voters into informed voters. We'll get to the point one day where conservative voices, liberal voices can come together, figure out what's the best way moving forward for everyone. And we're gonna have a brighter future for the state of California, county of LA, city of LA. It can be done. I've seen bits and pieces of it. Let's get the whole thing together now. So thank you all.
Thank you. And welcome Vivian also to the Republican Party. Woo! It's a twofer. Now, if you're a delegate to the state Republican Party, would you please stand up? All right. Now, if you've been a delegate less than 5 years, please sit down. Who's that? Oh. Now, if you've been a delegate less than 4 years, no. 3 years? We're looking for who is the newest delegate. All right, we'll try that again. Everybody, please stand up. You've been sitting for a long time. Okay. We'll do it in reverse, Jack. That's right. I'm taking advice from the economists, so we're going to do it in reverse. If you've been a delegate for 5 years or less, sit down. 5 years or less. Not if you've been longer than 5 years, please stay standing, Celeste. Okay. All right. Rudy, how long have you been a delegate? 7 years. Celeste, how long? 21 years. Lucy? All right, sit down. Okay, Jack? 12 years. All right, so our senior CAGOP delegate is Celeste Gregg with 21 years. And we want to give you this as a small token of our appreciation. Now, Mary Ann Burnell, please come up here. Mary Ann, as you can see, you and I both host the Los Angeles County Republican Club radio show. And
thank you everyone for being here. This is turned out to be a really great event. It's kind of funny because we're always wondering if anybody's going to show up, and everybody shows up all at the last minute. But thank you so much for being here.
Now, if you are a candidate for the next election cycle, would you please stand? Mary Ann, would you start by standing in the room and let our candidate introduce himself, say a few words, let us know how we can.
Only a few words.
Well,
Possible, David?
a little bit more than a few.
Now, thank you, David, again, once again. Let's give a round of applause to David and his staff for putting this together. Thank you, thanks. Michael Cosmo, running for Congressional District 26, which is Ventura County and West Los Angeles County. And I just wanted to say very much that I ran last time, 46% to her 54%. She's been in office for 12 years, and we were able to go ahead and garner 33% of the NPPs and the independents last time. So there is a movement. We got to keep that movement going, folks, and make sure that we educate the people that want to be educated on the values of the Republican Party and what we stand for. So thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you, Michael.
Hello, everybody. My name is Octavio Cesar Martinez. I'm running for re-election. I will be hopefully able to serve the great city of Whittier again. I'll give you 30 minutes to stop. And I ran on a platform of upgrading the promenade. I was able to help get that pushed through across the finish line after 18 years being held up in council. I am pro law and order. Oh, they told me to say public safety. I am pro law and order because I don't care. Pro law and order, pro family, and pro education. Thank you, and God bless you guys.
Thank you, Octavio.
Hi, I know many of you guys. I'm Christina. I'm running again for state senate. Thank you. I ran in 2022 as a write-in against three-term Democrat incumbent, heavily entrenched Santa Monica cabal Ben Allen, whose biggest accomplishment was paper straws. He banned the plastic and it's all about paper, but I digress. There is about 11 Democrats running against me right now. I'm the only Republican so far. Obviously, many of you know what I stand for, public safety, definitely voter funded Prop 37 and Prop 36 support that, no boys and girls sports. Everything that the sheriff said that's common sense is what I support. I have a bunch of other issues that are on my website. If you'd like to contribute or go ahead and volunteer, please go to my website, ChristinaIrwin.com. Thank you.
I think you heard me earlier. I follow Jesus, running for Congress, 38th district. I think we gotta change the religion, their belief a little bit. And then I think within 3 to 5% of people swing, we can all win our seats. So let's do that. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Oscar Martinez. Looking around the room, I've spoken to many of you already, or many Republican meetups where you were there, so I'm not going to bore you. I know we just ate and we want to go home. I just want to say, when I first announced that I wanted to run as a Republican, they told me I need 2 people, Jesus Christ and Dave Hernandez. And I just want to give Dave Hernandez a big round of applause, please, for everything we've done. Now, as far as my campaign, the current sheriff, or the one acting as sheriff, Robert Luna, he was at a meeting the other day, and he said there's no manual on how to be sheriff. And I say I disagree with that. There's a manual, and it's the U.S. Constitution. That's why I'm going to do it. Thank you.
Marianne, over here.
Hi, my name is Erskine Levi. I'm running in the 31st district. That's the West Covina, Baldwin Park, Irwindale, Glendora area in San Gabriel Valley. I'm a former law enforcement officer myself, and I'm a former military police officer. U.S. Army of 20 years, and my basic stances are keep this country safe. Let's get rid of all terrorist organizations out of our country and people, gangs, and also to not just keep our country safe, defense, but keep our country safe, law enforcement. What can a congressman do for law enforcement? Well, I can help strengthen the border. I can help get rid of sanctuary cities and sanctuary states that a congressman. And what I need, though, is I can't do it by myself, unless you're Rambo or a sniper. No, I need a team, and you're on my team. I just deputized everybody. If you like me and you want me to win, and you can't vote for me, well, to my card. If you didn't get one, I'll get one. I think I got almost everybody. And go to my website, tell your friends, get on your Facebook, get on your Instagram, get on your Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it now, and tell 2,000 people or whatever, and tell them if they can't vote for me to maybe donate to my campaign. Thank you very much. I love you all. God bless.
Oh, Lord, it's my turn. I actually tried to figure out a joke, but they're kind of not. No. One of the best things that I can say right now, besides I'm Paul Jones, I'm running for California State Assembly, District 62, is that one of the most significant people is David Hernandez. Without us getting, it is, to me, one of the most important things that I can say right now is getting this man reelected will mean that we as candidates can get our job done as candidates, because without David's support, it's not going to be easy.
So one of our biggest jobs is this September to make sure that we show up and vote and get this man back in office. You know, I'm happy over the fact that I get to hang around with so many great people like David, like Bishop Hernandez and Jack here, and, you know, and then now I've recruited a new individual into my campaign. Her name is Doris's mom, but I call her my mom. I'm gonna get her a name tag that simply reads Jacqueline Morneau, candidate's mommy. My opponent right now is in Paramount marching against ICE. That's where he is right now, I just was advised. But for me, the biggest thing is that I didn't lose, I haven't lost in a long time because of the fact that this one up above has kept me alive. I've gone through a lot of things. I'm a triple bypass survivor. Well, I didn't survive, I got sent back, so I'm still here, hanging around. One of the other things I want to make real clear is that we are vets, and organizations like Laney has are important here because so many of them are homeless right now. I know Laney is feeding a lot of homeless veterans, and our organization, We Are Vets, are also feeding about 200 homeless vets a month. I'm here for the people. I'm not here for the other politicians. Jeff has already left. People like Jeff and like Jack and for Oscar here, these are important people that I'm very happy to hang around, and especially with everyone that I see in here. So the best thing I can say is please get out, support your candidates, whether it's me or the candidate in your district. And most of all, support this man standing here at the front. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. So we have a candidate for mayor. Did you want to introduce yourself? Our candidate for mayor?
No, you didn't do anything. You did great. You gave me inspiration on how to get rid of Karen Bass once and for all. She is somewhere talking about ISIS and trying to fake her smile and trying to do whatever to do. I'm Assad Al-Najjar. I'm running for the Los Angeles mayor, number 44. Yesterday, I was at the opening of the LAX terminal with Rosa, number 41, and then we had Garcetti, number 42, and then we had Karen Bass, number 43. So right there, I told them, well, I'm number 44. I'm the future because I'm the one who built that terminal, and you're here cutting the ribbon with me. But the challenge is big. David gave me a lot of inspiration the past 3 weeks on how to tackle the challenge. Everybody that my campaign manager, Marilyn, and everybody that I know tells me it's mission impossible, you're not gonna do it. But I know we can do it. Sheriff Villanueva gave us a lot of ideas. The homeless, which is number one item in LA, is doable. We can do it. We, the people together, have a lot of solutions, especially engineers. We believe that we can fix anything. Just give us a screwdriver and it's done. Of course, safety is on the top of the notch. I deal directly with the LAPD, with the MTA police, and it's disaster, but we together with them, the civilians, can do a lot. And of course, our infrastructure is a disaster. I'm on the LA 28 committee meeting for 7 months, and we moved, I think, I'm not going to say an inch, a millimeter. And that's it, they want it ready. But besides that, I'm glad to be all with you. I gained a lot of positive energy today, and I'm going to see Karen Bass, I think at 7 p.m. tonight. I'm going to beat the crap out of her.
Hi, everyone. I'm Adrian Ayub, and I'm 28 years old. I'm going to be running for the 67th Assembly District that's currently held by incumbent Sharon Quirk Silva. When I was here earlier this year running for Cerritos City Council, I was the only candidate who even mentioned non-sanctuary city out of the Republican candidate. I was the only candidate who stood up for parents' rights to the materials that in school libraries. I was the only candidate who wanted to give the next generation more opportunity than the previous one. So now in our assembly district, the biggest issues, of course, are homelessness, housing, healthcare, and public safety. As a realtor, I did an open house in Buena Park not too long ago, and I got a notification that a woman was robbed at gunpoint not too far from me. And it was right near, not very far. So public safety in North Orange County has gotten out of control. In Cerritos, we had 30 residential burglaries in January. And I was attacked and called a racist against my own people for just wanting law and order. My favorite soundbite from the 2016 election was when Trump said, Hillary Clinton is a bigot. She only sees people of color. She only sees not as people deserving of a good future, but just as votes. So Sharon Quirk has always gotten, in our assembly district, it's 40% Latino. So they care about it when it's election time, but not for giving a future. So,
Thank you, Adrian. All right, Adrian, I think what's your
67. There's 3 Democrats running and no Republican candidates yet. So
Right.
let's beat up.
Now, did I hear a rumor that someone was going to run again for District 44? Tony? Okay, just a rumor. All right, well, you, come on up.
I'll try to make it quick. I'm not really a politician, so my name is Chris Garcia. I'm running for school board for Norwalk, Lamoureux, and Unified. That's why I was late today, because I was at Fair Norwalk. Just real quick, I wanted to say, not all is good in the Republican Party. So at LA County, the board voted to put that pride flag up in front of the Norwalk. If you know where the Norwalk Register Reporter is, that really pissed me off. I served in the Marine Corps, right? My first Marines. That flag is something sacred to me.
Yes, sir.
So when I see that bill go up with my flag, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. So if you know Republicans who are supporting that nonsense, you need to tell them something. It's ridiculous.
That's right.
Like I said, I'm running for Norwalk, Lamoureux, Unified. I'm fighting against them. I'm suing them right now, the district, because they're canceling a school called Southeast Academy. If you know what Southeast Academy is, it's a military police style academy. I have 3 sons who go there. My oldest son is a veteran of the Marine Corps. My other 3 are going to join the Marine Corps, so I breed Marines. I'm not looking for higher office. I'm doing this to get the Bible back in school.
Amen.
I really think we need a lot more of us to speak out and say that we need to have the Bible taught in school, not bring it to school. They can already bring it to school. It needs to be taught in school like it used to for 300 years prior.
That's right.
Right? Until the 60s, so all these crazies when they changed it. So that's what I'm running for. If you guys want to support me, you can. You can just look up Chris Garcia in Norwalk. I'll pop up. There's so much stuff about me.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, candidates, and especially, thank you to the families of the candidates, because, they're not in the spotlight, but, boy, they are really, carrying a lot of the load. They may be at home taking care of the kids, watching the kids, driving them to their sports events and the school, and here we are having a nice lunch. And, it's nice when, like with Doris is here with her mom, with Paul, it's nice when the candidates can be a part of. But when the candidate goes home after a day of rejection, expectations that didn't pan out, people that you thought would support you ignore you, or try and find a justification for not supporting you financially, or a party that ignores you because you don't fit their unrealistic expectation, or you're a scapegoat for their failed policy. And so we're really fortunate indeed to have individuals that are willing to step into the arena. You know, and we do have, at the county level, we have central committee members that are involved in their individual central committees. We know that Audrey was at the 43rd and audit, and Antonio on the 44th, and others. And so we want to really acknowledge that, and, you know, and we know that what Joe has done, and, you know, not only with the CRA, but with his review, with Antonio. And so, you know, we have, and Eileen is on the 46th Assembly District, and, you know, she volunteers, you know, quite a bit, and Rudy is here with his wife Stephanie, and CRA. And Lucy, the president of the San Fernando Valley CRA. So we have a lot of different individuals that that are involved in these different things. And so we want to, and would you like to come up and say a few words? No? Okay, that's fine. All right, before I bring up Lucy, and Marianne will be on the radio tonight at 7 o'clock. What do you think? Is there anything happening in LA that we can talk about on the radio?
I can't think of anything. But it is really crazy. It just keeps getting crazier. But we have so much to talk about. So it's going to be interesting, especially.
Well, how did you get involved in politics?
I just fell in it. I just stumbled into it somehow. I'm really an introvert. My husband's the extrovert. I like to be in my corner. Just being by myself, I'm good with it. But it's very different to be up in front of people than it is to be on the radio. On the radio is very different because I don't see anybody. So it's a lot easier because I feel like I'm just sitting across from you, David, and talking to you. So when I'm here, I just want to hurry and get off and move to the side. but it's great. At the end, you know, really for me and my husband, it's all about the kids. That's what it comes down to, because without the kids and protecting the kids and doing the Lord's duty, which is to protect the kids, there's nothing more important than that to me. So everything is for our children, especially me. I have 3 grandchildren, one that just graduated yesterday. And so it's very important, yes.
Thank you very much. Are you a delegate? Oh, all right. And, you know, the emails that went out about this meeting and the other meetings and the events, as my son Brian over there, and Brian is there, sending out those emails and posting the different events, and the RSVPs on the Texans, that's my daughter Lisa over there. And we want everyone to know that, you know, the sheriff is there and he's doing the book signing. You can purchase the book. Lucy, did you want to come up and say a few words?
Yes, definitely. It's so important. Everybody looks on the table right now. There is a card. It says David Hernandez, California GOP Regional Vice Chair re-election. Let me tell you something what's happening right now. We have to reunite our GOP in LA County. The only person for the last 6 years that, for me, I analyze a lot of people to trust people. And my trust on David grows so much. This is the only person can change any county. It's David Hernandez. There's nobody else. And I want to call all your district, your central committee, to make sure they go to vote in September 6th, that David represent us on the level of California GOP is so important, especially for the candidate who's running for office right now. It's so important. David has the hard goal. Everybody hates paying $40. He paid from his pocket, well, his organization. It costs more than that to be here today. Anybody can take an envelope and write a check. And any regional empowerment fund organization, please help David because we need him to continue his duty to be able to change LA County. Thank you. Say it again. Hey, anybody you can do.
Now,
Thank you.
a little bit, most people, I was not aware of the position of regional vice chair until an election came up. Now, I remember going to the county meetings and there would be a gentleman sitting up there with the board and he would give a little regional vice chair report saying everything's fine. And so when it came up time for election, the chair of the LA County Party announced that he was running for that position, but he wasn't resigning as chair of the LA County Party. He believed that this position was really a go-between and was meaningless and had no use. Now, I hadn't planned on it, but, and I don't even think I checked with my wife Debbie first. Raise your hand, Debbie. Raise my wife Debbie. But I couldn't sit down and let someone who saw no value in this position run and win. And so I ran for the position, and as a result of the grassroots delegates, I think Eric, we were talking, the grassroots individuals that step into the arena and run in races for assembly and Senate and Congress, in districts that the odds were so stacked against, they knew they weren't going to win, but they were going to make a difference. This is all about making a difference. And we talked earlier about with Claudia running in Lincoln Heights for state Senate. Look at the difference that has made. Or Tracy, a teacher running in that district. Or, we look around at the different individuals who have run. It makes a big difference. So I run and win. I remember Benny jumping up and dancing in the hallways because he was part of the vote counting. And then I went and I read the state bylaws as to what this position entails. I was waiting to get the keys to my big office, access to the big expense account, the budget so that we can have all of these different events. And the job description in the bylaws is about 3 sentences. Strengthen the Republican Party base in Los Angeles County. No budget, no office, no key, nothing. Just an imagination. And I don't know about you, but I have a very big imagination. And so what I wanted to take, what we had been doing with the Los Angeles Hispanic Republican Club and helping candidates and supporting candidates and educating candidates, I wanted to bring that into this position. The first thing I did was I sat down with my opponent. I took him to lunch along with the treasurer of the LA County Republican Party. And I said, the election's over, but the job has just begun. We have an obligation to the 1 million Republicans in Los Angeles County to do what we can do when we can do it together. Going forward from here, we're going forward as Republicans. And that was the last time we got together. That was, I never got, only by a special request that they have me up on the board at those county meetings that we used to have. And that was the former city council member here in Whittier, Michelle Martinez, demanded that they have me up there on the stage with the other members of the LA GOP. And I realized, we're gonna do this for the Republicans of Los Angeles County with them or without them. We are not restricted by their acceptance. And so I arranged 4 regional training sessions for Central Committee members. We did one in Woodland Hills with about 40 Central Committee members attending. We did one in Linwood at Bishop Mendez's center in Linwood. We did one in Glendora for the 49th and 48th Central Committees. And we did one in Santa Monica with the help of Joe Lazzuso and his organization. So we put on those 4 training sessions, and Lonnie Connie came at all 4 of those at her own expense to put on those trainings. And Roxanne Hope attended all 4 of those trainings and participated. Now, each month, I give a report, and now I'm on that executive board meeting each month with Jack Guerrero. Welcome to the reality of the CAGOP, Jack. Not pretty, right? And so we have Zoom meetings with all of the board meetings, all the regional chairs in California, the Republican Assembly, or Minority Leader, and the Senate Minority Leader, National Committee men, National Committee women. But what I decided to do was a week before have a Zoom meeting open to all delegates to the CAGOP who are in Los Angeles County and invite them to send me information, guidance, concerns, so that I could include that in my regional report to the state party. Now, there is no guarantee that the state party will do anything, but they cannot say they are not aware of it, because thanks to those of you that have joined me in those Zoom meetings, that I was able to include those in my reports. Prior to the last election cycle for state party leadership, we met here and we had a candidates forum for most of the candidates that were running for leadership in the state party. So those are some of the things that I've been able to do in just a year and a half with no budget, and but with a big imagination and with the support of a lot of you. And so Jack and I will be in Sacramento on the 28th of this month at our own expense to attend a day-long retreat with the executive board. And believe me, we will be bringing concerns to them about what is taking place and how we can improve what we can do to go forward. And so, as I said, the Republican State Convention will be September 5th through the 7th in Orange County. Saturday morning at 9 a.m. is the time for our regional meeting. The last 2 conventions, we've had an incredible regional meeting, thanks to individuals like Eric, who sponsored one of the breakfasts at our church, and sponsored of our breakfast at the convention, and a lot of work from some of the people that are here today. This particular meeting is going to be a little different, because this is where we're going to hold the election for the regional vice chair. So I want you to be thinking, because we're going to have to elect a temporary chair and a couple of other individuals to oversee the election. And so, yes, I am running for re-election, and if you are willing and so moved to allow me to represent you for another 2 years, then I would ask for your support in 2 ways. With this card, you have to be present at that meeting in order to vote. You have to be a delegate, an LA delegate to the state party, and you have to be registered at the convention. So where did Sue, wait a minute, well, just a second, okay, I don't see Sue. Those of you that saw what happened at that last convention with the first vote that was stopped and was redone in the afternoon. Right, yeah, no. But what happened after the first get together and they couldn't come to a vote, they suspended the vote and said they would reconvene in the afternoon. There were individuals there who had unbreakable commitments to leave and not be there in the afternoon. Sue Yu got on the phone and got at least 3 people to Anaheim, paid their convention registration fee so that they could vote for me. I only won by 7 votes. 3 of those came just for that event. And part of the for the election, for the board of directors, the voting that's going to take place on Sunday, individuals that can't, who are delegates but can't attend, they can sign a proxy form where someone can vote in their place, except in regional elections. In the regional elections, the delegate has to be registered at the convention, present at the time of voting, and that means that I believe that we have more than a good chance. And I think, Eric, you're looking at about 152,000 votes to guarantee the win. There's a little bit more than 217 delegates in Los Angeles County. So with 152, so the card that Lucy was holding up, that is a commitment card. That if you are a delegate, if you can fill that out, my daughter Lisa and my son Brian will be walking around after you complete it, hold it up, and we're going to be making phone calls. We've already started getting commitments. But remember, they did not want me to win. They didn't want the grassroots to win. They sure as heck didn't want Jack to win. And, but, we don't care what they want. So, we're really fortunate indeed because we see not only a change in the movement in California, but we also see the grassroots moving forward, achieving levels of success that people that have given up and left the state, they would not imagine the forward trajectory that we have now, the ability to work together and support each other. And so I want to thank you all for coming. Do I see a school teacher walking over here?
Yeah, because how can we even leave this room without filling this out right now? I filled mine out. I signed my name. I know how important this is because people like us, and David doesn't know I'm going to disrupt, but we have to because this is what we have to do. This is our state. This is our party, and we are done with not having at least a chance to meet together and share ideas and get actual support that's actionable from people who are ready to actually support us. We are the grassroots. If you haven't filled out your form, here's what I learned. Because I committed a fail. I appointed 2 delegates that were not in LA. Whoops. And I have 3 that are. And I'm going to see if I can get one of mine to shift to LA or something. But whatever we need to do, we need to get all of our delegates in the room and vote for David. If you have not filled out your form, fill it out now. I'm Tracy, and I am going to be monitoring.
Thank you, Tracy. Eileen, the flyers are over there on the table with the information. Well, Eileen is bringing that flyer up. Benny, would you want to introduce Dylan?
Yeah, so I want you to take a look around the room. What's missing? Look around the room. What is missing? Not just the LHGOP, it's a good thing. I want to introduce a young man who was a part of a team that we have been building, and it's going to represent the Gen Z and the young millennials. So I want to bring up Dylan here. Dylan, come on up. I want him to motivate you, every one of you. Raise your hand if you have grandchildren that are Gen Z. Raise your hand if you have children or grandchildren that are Gen Z. All right, he has a message for you.
Hello. So I didn't know I was speaking until maybe about 10 minutes ago. But it's an honor and it's a privilege to talk to you guys today. And I think I'll just talk about current events, what's going on in my life and the experiences that I've really had in the last 2 weeks. So I'm originally from Torrance, so 8066 with Mayor Cruikshank over there. And one of the things that's been happening recently is Janice Hahn and the LA County Board of Supervisors has been, yeah, boo, 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 let's get the boos. Janice Hahn and the LA County Board of Supervisors has been trying to force Torrance to accept a homeless shelter right in the middle of our business district, which is within a 1 mile radius of 5 different schools, a Coptic church. It's a terrible location and there's no community input. And I was speaking to a lady who lives maybe about a mile away from there. Her name's Helen. And she was talking and going, oh, well, this is terrible. This is the most involved I've been in a long time. I'm going to go talk to Representative Maratsuchi. I guarantee you he'll be against it. Do we think Maratsuchi is going to be against this homeless shelter? What do we think? No, no. And I was telling her all these things. I've noticed a big issue, at least in California, and when it comes to local issues in Los Angeles County, in the assembly districts, is people just don't know information. They're not up to date. People don't know that crazy representatives like Paul Maratsuchi are opposed or are completely for homeless shelters in their own districts, right? So at the end of the day, all politics is local. Everybody likes to talk about the national level, right? Fox, CNN, they'll talk about what goes on at the national level, in the White House, in Congress. And I had an AP Gov teacher my senior year of high school that talked to us and said, oh, well, you need to go out there and vote. You need to go out there and vote. Even if you just vote for the president, go out there and vote. No, 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 no. You need to flip that. Start with educating young people. Start with educating your neighbors about city council, about the Board of Education, about LA County Board of Supervisors, because those are the people which you're going to see far more impact your life than, let's say, an executive order by President Trump. President Trump has signed a lot of executive orders recently, and whether you agree with them or you disagree with them, the impact that you feel far more, that your kids feel far more, is who's on your Board of Education for your local school district, who's the mayor, who's the city council, who are the people that are supporting the local police department, supporting the local fire department, right? We felt that in LA County with Karen Bass. I'm feeling it right now, and all my neighbors are feeling it right now with the County Board of Supervisors. So the main thing at the end of the day is all politics is local. You have to start at the bottom of the pyramid before you build all the way up. And that's what we need to focus on. And I think that's the message we need to start communicating to young people. Thank you.
Dylan, hold on. So Dylan, share with the group here. How old are you?
21.
21 years old.
One of the first times I went to a bar was with the mayor over there.
We'll take that off there. Okay, but just listen, think about this. You have a 21-year-old who gave out some information today that not many of the young Gen Z generation is aware of. So that's why we're gonna need your support in moving a lot of the Gen Z and moving the young millennials in the right direction. We gotta educate them. As you guys know, as a former strategist for the unions in another party, that's what we have to do. We have to educate, we have to organize, and then we have to mobilize. So make sure you stay involved. If you have any young children, please have your young Gen Z, young millennials, go to the Los Angeles Hispanic Republic Club.com, sign up, get them involved. God bless you, and may you all have safe travels.
Thank you, baby. You know, and speaking of having young people at home, we know that, isn't there a pre-registered Republican in your household, Christina? You want to explain what that program is?
So basically, I have 3 kids. My son just turned 17. My daughter's 15, going on 27. So I'm going to need some prayers. And then my youngest is 12 and a half. So my 17-year-old, I pre-registered him. I actually, because we were never raised in a liberal household, so that's one game I don't play. So I always told him, we're raised right, this is what you do. So then I got him on the website and I said, okay, you're just going to turn 17. I'm going to pre-register you. Then I'm going to start taking you to all these events. We're going to start doing, high school events. You're going to come to the College Young Republicans. Just get him in there because he's kind of excited. He's watching news on his own, which is amazing. And he comes and tells me certain things. I'm like, oh, really? Let me write that down. So that's really good. So I encourage everyone to just start pre-registering your kids, grandchildren, and go to college. They have career days. Go to colleges where they have the credit card companies right next to them. Just sit there and start, bring your public registration and get it going with them.
Thank you, Christina. First time I heard about that program was from Luis Santana's daughter, Ellie. She pre-registered at 16 as a Republican. And turns out the Democrats have about 150,000, 200,000 pre-registered teenagers waiting for the next election cycle. The next election cycle is vital because in order for the Democrats to take back the House of Representatives, it's going to be here in California. That's why races like Levi or like Mike Cosmo or anyone else running for Congress, it is vital. If we are going to keep the House of Representatives, it is going to be because of what the work gets done in California. And that's why we need to have Republicans in every single race. We need to make Democrats spend their money to make them work for it so that they don't go ahead and just spend it in other targeted races, taking out Republicans. In reality, we did great at the national level, but here in Southern California, we got our you-know-what handed to us. We lost the only congressional seat in Los Angeles County with Mike Garcia. We saw Michelle Steele lose her race after spending over $22 million in that. So the ball is in our court. The voters are voting their values, which they now realize we're the ones that stand for. So I want to thank you all for coming. Because I kind of like getting together like this, and I know it's not big on the radar of some people, but I kind of thought we ought to have a get together where we have fun and party. And so there's flyers on the table. Now this is an event that I put together as regional vice chair. That's open to all LA County Central Committee members, all delegates, any Republican in Los Angeles County. We're going to get together on June 22nd for pizza and politics. And I'm sure that Mike Cosmo probably does great comedy. So we're going to have an open mic for comedy. Some of you that play an instrument want to read some poetry. I know that Tony is probably great on karaoke, and so we're going to have a good time. And so mark your calendars, RSVP where we are to Eileen, and we'll be getting together on June 22nd. So go over, visit with the sheriff, get a signed book, buy some stuff in the back, mingle, have a good time, and drive home safe. Thank you.